cross key blues harmonica playing, and we saw that there are three kinds: fourths, sixths and tonics. The tonics being a little bit special in that the tonic is the most important note of the scale, and so it made sense to make that a reference point, a note that you can go directly to and one you can remember where the position is, and then spin off from that to all the other notes round about, meaning you only have to remember the one reference point, the tonic. Of course there's another tonic as well further up, and we can get to that from a run. Runs are a good way of accurately getting to the note that you want. And of course you then can spin off to the notes that are around about that particular tonic as well. Now, just in passing, I've also mentioned there's yet another reference point, and that's the fifth. In an earlier video I said that the fifth often is a focus for solos, so it's a good perhaps procedure to be able to get to that fifth also from that tonic. And you'll recall that we used the phrase from When the Saints, a very popular phrase in blues. And so once you've got to the fifth, you can play around there to get all the notes in that region. So with these three reference points you've got access to all the notes that you need. However, the current issue is more to do with the function of the fourths and sixths, although to a lesser extent this applies to the tonic as well. And that is as links to the draw notes. The draw notes are the notes that can be bent down to the blue notes, the lowered third, lowered fifth, lowered seventh, and they are the expressive notes. And in this kind of playing, which is unaccompanied and without structure, with a one chord feel, the blow notes just simply represent links to those expressive draw notes. So we got to this kind of situation where we're going just alternating drawing and blowing, and being able to sustain that kind of playing, and using that then as a skeleton. So our final objective is to get to something like proper blues playing, and at the end of last video we said we'd cover this in this video how to do that. So let's have a look at the points involved. The first point to make is that you can't play blues in a vacuum. So I'm assuming that you're into the blues. If you're not, you're actually in the wrong place. So if you do like the blues, you really should listen to it. Perhaps you haven't heard as much as you'd like. Well, there's no need to spend megabucks. You could just go to the library and get out a compilation album of various artists. And when you do, you'll quickly pick up the structure, the syncopation, the phrasing, the nuances, all of which are the essence of the blues. And of course, being able to absorb that will stand you in very good stead for your own playing. Now, the first practical step for turning the skeleton into a solo is to establish the key. So we talked about the reference tonic. Go there, begin on that note, and then take your alternating blow and draw notes from that. Just a point in passing that springs from that, we're alternating blowing and drawing, and this is something that harmonica players can do. They can sustain their playing, unlike say a sax player who has to pause to draw breath because they're always blowing. We can evenly blow and draw in such a way that we're able to sustain our playing for as long as we want. Now, a start to fleshing out the skeleton is to work in some blue notes, and we do this of course by, when we draw, bend down, so we get to the lowered third, the lowered fifth and the lowered seventh, and we'll work some of these into the skeleton. Now let's vary the length of our notes. If you're going to extend a note like that, we need really to make it say something, and the way we do this to make it more expressive, to give a point to actually extending it, is to put vibrato on it, which creates a kind of an effect which makes it memorable, and a warmth as well, of course. So here we go. Now, whatever vibrato you use, you can use the conventional one that blues harmonica players tend to find natural to them, which is the in-mouth one, or you can use the one that I use, which is that wrist vibrato. It doesn't really matter, but it does impart that warmth and expressiveness to those notes that you linger on. Runs have at least two functions. Firstly, they help us to get to notes accurately. As we saw when we were going from the lower tonic before to the upper tonic, if we went straight to the upper tonic, we have more chance of making a mistake than if we were to go in via a run. So say I wanted to do the lowered seventh between the two tonics, rather than going there direct, I could just go and I've hit the note accurately. So it's an alternative to going through one of the reference points that I was mentioning before. Now, another function of runs is simply to make the music sound good. You may recall that I've said before that steps are strong in music. They appeal to our sense of aesthetic logic. And runs, of course, each run is just a set of tiny steps. So that's runs up to a note. We can do runs off a note as well. So say we do our characteristic phrase from When the Saints. Now that run there, off the final note of the phrase, is an alternative, if you like, to vibrato, in that it gives that last note and therefore the whole phrase impact. So that's another purpose of runs off notes as an alternative to vibrato. So runs, yet another aspect to fleshing out our skeleton to make full solos. What's missing so far is perhaps passion and feeling, an essential part of the blues, and we will deal with that in the next video.